So there's quite a few people here that probably don't know who I am. Pretty irrelevant, but that's actually a good thing because that kind of tells you what kind of people the Schenk family are. So it doesn't matter how relevant or irrelevant you are in a family when it comes to the Schenks, because whether you're an old friend or a new friend, you're treated the same. They welcome you with open arms. They treat you like you've been in the family this whole time. Not a lot of people do that anymore, unfortunately. So I don't want to give you a sad story, okay? The whole point of everything here is to celebrate the life of Don and to remember the good things and the happy times. So here's a happy story. Now, if you read the obituary memory sharing section, then you've read this story, but it kind of loses its luster when you're not actually talking about it. So remember many years ago when I first met Donnie and Dolores, we all went on a big family trip to LaGrange. It was Daryl, Jennifer, Brandon, and we went with them too. So we got there, and the whole mission was to go fishing, because I hadn't been fishing in many years since I lived in Minnesota. We were going to go to the many tanks that they have out there on their land and go fishing for sunnies, crappies, bass. That's kind of what they had in their stock tank there. So I mean, I can't believe how beautiful the place was. We rolled up on Donnie and Dolores' house and land. I mean, it was like a scene from a movie. I mean, well-manicured lawn, acres of land. It was just a sight to be seen. Very, very, very pretty. You roll up to their house, and then you look to your right, and there's a really big lake. Got a dock going out into the lake, and it's got a little kind of fish house right there on the shore. So got a chance to meet Donnie and Dolores, shook both their hands. And the cool thing is that every second that we were talking and every second that they were paying attention to me, you can tell that they really accepted me. At that point, I was probably wearing cutoff t-shirt with no sleeves and my tattoos were hanging out. And that's kind of a situation where somebody could possibly judge a book by its cover, but you never would know it. With Donnie and Dolores, they didn't judge you at all. It's who you are, not what you look like, which is great. I mean, that's super, super awesome. Anyways, we go out to the dock and everyone's casting their line in. And I think Donnie was in the lake house getting equipment or whatnot. So the first thing I did was, and any fisherman will do this, they're going to cast into the weeds because that's where the fish are. It's always a pretty safe bet that you cast in the weeds, you're going to get something. May not be a trophy fish, but you'll get something. Good start to the day. So of course I cast my line in the weeds. I don't know, maybe 5-10 seconds later, Donnie walks right up to me. What are you doing there? There's no fish in there. So I turned to him. I'm like, of course there are. That's where the fish always go. You always go into the weeds. No. I know this tank. You're not going to catch anything in there. You want to cast out at the end of the dock just to the left. That's where the fish are biting. So rule number one of being a good fisherman is you never give advice or listen to other advice because other fishermen are just out to get you. You go up to somebody and you ask, hey, where are the fish biting? On the end of my hook. Kind of that thing. But I trusted him. I said, all right, cool. Thought that was mighty nice of him. His tank, he knows where the fish are. No worries. So I cast out to where he told me to cast out. I'm waiting. And then I hear the old plop, the sound of a bobber and a hook hitting the water. I look back. I hear some rustling in the water, and sure enough, someone's got a fish. So I look back, and what do I see? I see Donnie with his line in the weeds right where I was. Pulled a pretty decent-sized bass out of there. Kind of looked at him with my mouth open. All he did was look at me, laugh, and walk up to the shore. I'm thinking, you little sucker, you stole my fish. But I'll tell you what, that was really funny. And I mean, it's a situation like that where I was laughing the whole time. And every time I think about it, I laugh about it. But it didn't end there. So we caught a pretty decent amount of fish. Not great, but enough for Dolores to agree to fry some up for us. Because at that point, I hadn't had good fish since I lived in Minnesota. So it was a real treat that she did that for us. So came to filleting the fish. That's the old rule. You catch them, you clean them. So Donnie's on one side of the picnic table. I'm on the other side. And he gets his extension cord out, gets his electric knife and everything. And I'm looking at him because my old man always told me, you're going to miss a lot of meat with an electric knife. Don't ever use that to fillet fish. So I always trusted the old man. So Donnie busts out his electric knife. And I'm like, what are you doing? Don't you have a fillet knife? He's like, this is what I use. I'm like, okay, well, you're going to miss a lot of meat. Not to be outdone. He's like, I'll bet you $10 that you can have your fillet knife. I'll have this electric knife, and I'm going to get more meat than you. I'm not going to back down from a bet. So I'm like, yeah, you're on. No problem. Back when I was in Minnesota and I really filleted a lot, I'd get it right down to the bone with a fillet knife. Well, fast forward the clock 15, 20 years, and that's where we're at. So here I'm trying to fillet my fish, and Donnie's just sailing through fish with that electric knife. He's doing 3 to my 1. Easy. And so we look at the fish afterwards, and you can tell when you fillet a fish perfect because you can actually see through it. All of his looked like glass. You could see through it. Mine, let's just say that I lost horribly. Never let me live that down. Never let me live down the fish and the weeds. Never let me live down the fillet contest. Funny enough, one year for his birthday, I used to DJ on Mix 94.7. You know, it was a later show, so I think it was either Heather or Daryl that told me that it was his birthday. So I gave him a call, and I stuck him on the air while we were talking. I wished him a happy birthday, and I said, I'm going to have to teach you how to fish for your birthday. He's like, I'll tell you what, on your birthday, why don't you come out and I'll let you catch a fish? And you kind of had to be there for it to be as funny as I remember it, but I'll tell you what, we never hung out a lot. But the thing is the times that we did see each other and the times that I was privileged enough to be around Donnie and Dolores, they were so incredibly awesome. I mean, just the greatest people that you could ever meet. Donnie would give you the shirt off his back. All in all, I mean, I can go on and on, but I've never met two people quite like Donnie and Dolores. If you ever want to see a really beautiful sight, look at the video that I made and look at any picture where Donnie and Dolores are standing next to each other. The one thing that you can see there, just by looking at how Dolores looked at Donnie, you can tell she's madly in love with him. Just from a picture, you can tell that, and that's amazing. Everybody in the world needs to see that. It's relationships like that that set the mark for everybody else. With Donnie and Dolores, you can tell that they were soulmates. They found each other, and it was written in the stars for them to be together. And one thing I'll say before I go, everybody pay attention to the Schenk family. That's a family to aspire to be. I think about Donnie and Dolores all the time. And when I got this bad news, there are no words to describe how that feels. And I know that anybody that's been around them feels the same way. But Donnie, my fishing buddy, I'm going to miss you every single day until the day I die. And then I'm coming up there and I'm going to kick your ass and fishing. Donnie, I'll miss you, man. Schenk family, I love you guys so much. Please hang in there.